What's up, everybody? Russell Tracy here, and today I'm going to be continuing my Lightroom series, and we're going to be moving into the develop module. This is probably going to be part one of, I'm not really sure how many parts because there's a lot to do in the develop module. So I've got a list of stuff that I want to go over today, not necessarily directed towards editing, more different parts of the develop module and how you can use them to get started. First things first, if you're in the library view, there's two ways to get into the develop module. First one is you can go up here to the top and you can click develop up in the top right hand corner. Or what you can do on your keyboard is you can hit D as in develop, and that will take you into the develop module. So we're going to hit D, and it's going to go directly into the develop module with the photo that we had selected. Now, once you're in the develop module, the first thing that I want to talk about is the loop info. This is something that I see on a lot of videos that's kind of annoying, but can be helpful. The loop info, if we go up to view and we do loop info and it says show info overlay, that's this little watermark taggy thing up here. It can be helpful if you want to know what settings you were using, but typically when I'm editing, most of the time this is off. I will turn it on for videos so you can see what settings I was using. If you want to edit this, because you can change what it looks like, you can go down here to view options or Command J, and you can set up, you have two panels, loop info 1, loop info 2, set up what you want. Then what you can do is you can hit I as in info on the keyboard. It'll cycle through. You can turn it on and off. You can see whatever you have set up. I'm going to kind of jump around here, but next what we're going to talk about is reference view. This is a pretty helpful view if you're trying to match color and exposure and stuff like that for multiple photographs. So what you can do is you can edit a photograph however you want it, and then down here at the bottom, right above where all the thumbnails are, you have this R/A. This is your reference view. You can get into this by hitting Shift R as in shift reference. And what it's going to do is it's going to split your screen in half, and you're going to have the reference photo on the left and your active photo on the right. If you have a photo that's already edited, you can take that, drag and drop that into the reference photo slot. And as you scroll through the other photos, your reference photo will stay the same. Your active photo will switch, which allows you to match all your other photos off this single photo. It makes it really easy, so you don't have like major color shifts or even minor color shifts through your edit. Now, if you want to see a before and after of your photo, like how it originally started and what your edits have done, if you hit Y as in Yankee on the keyboard, you can get your before and after. And again, if you click this, it'll rotate through a couple different before and after views, so you have a split view and you have your left, right, top, bottom, stuff like that. Hit Y again, and that'll take you back into the regular loop view. Now I'm going to jump over here to the left-hand side. Over here on the left-hand side, we have a couple options. We're going to talk about presets right now. If you use presets, I'm not going to talk about loading presets or anything like that, but if you use presets, one of the nifty features now is if you hover over these, they will actually show you what the preset's going to do to the photo, which is pretty helpful. If you don't want it to do this, if you just want it to show up in the little preview window up here, what you do is you go to your preferences, and you're going to go to performance, and down here under develop, it says enable hover preview of presets and loop. Just uncheck that and you won't have that. So now let's talk about zoom. Over here in the top left, you have fit, fill, 1:1, and then you have 2:1 and this up and down arrow. So if you want to zoom in on the keyboard, you're going to hit Z as in zoom, and it's going to zoom in. You can see this change from fit to 2:1. So if you hit Z again, it's going to zoom back out to fit. Now, if I want this just to go to 1:1, so 100% preview, I can click 1 to 1 and I can hit Z and toggle back and forth between fit and 100% preview. If you want to zoom in farther, you can go down here to 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 8 to 1. So however far that you want to go in, so this would be like 200%, 300%, 400%, stuff like that. Or you can zoom out. I don't know why you would want to zoom out from fit, but the option is there. I typically keep mine on 2 to 1, so I'm zooming into 200% just to make sure everything that I want sharp is indeed sharp. All right, moving over to the right side over here, this panel, you have the basic, your tone curve and all this stuff over here, along with some options up here across the top. Now, typically, the way that this works is if you click on one of these, it's going to open, and if you click the next one, it's going to open, and then you scroll down and it's going to open, and then keep opening them up, and it's just going to get scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, and this is a lot of scrolling. So now you got to go back up to the top to the develop mod, to the basic panel. You have to scroll through all this other stuff. I personally use solo mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to this panel and we're going to right click, and first thing we're going to do is just collapse all. And then we're going to right click again and we're going to click solo mode. So solo mode, what that's going to do is whichever panel that you have, whichever panel that you're using, that's going to be the only one open. So if I go down here, I want to adjust the tone curve. I click tone curve, basic closes, tone curve opens, and so on and so forth. This is going to be really handy if you're editing on a laptop, especially if you're editing on a laptop, you don't have a big monitor or anything like that, just to keep everything right where you can see it. Also, if you right click, you can see some of these check marks here. So you have the check marks for different things. Right now I have split toning turned off. If I click on split toning is going to show up. If you don't use one of these options, you can just right click again, and I'm going to turn off split toning so it's not going to show up. So you can go through here. If you're not using some of these, you can turn them off. If you're missing some of them, you can go just right click and make sure they're actually turned on. So just a quick overview of all the modes. Your basic mode, inside the basic mode, these are obviously your basic adjustments. You have exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, all this stuff. And then down here you have clarity, dehaze, vibrance, saturation. One of the nice things that Adobe has done is they've moved the dehaze tool up to the basic panel, so you don't have to scroll through all these other panels to get to it. The other thing that I want to talk about in the basic is the color profiles have changed. So if you use something like an X-Rite Color Checker Passport, all your profiles are going to be up here now. So if you click on this, you can get your profiles here, or if you click on these 4 little squares and start opening these up. So we have like the camera matching ones, and then the same thing. Hover over them. These are just your different camera profiles. You get a preview of the profile on your main image. If you want to change these, if you use custom profiles, your custom profiles have moved to this section right here. So if you have custom profiles set up for whatever it happens to be, or like I said, if you use the Color Checker X-Rite, they're going to be in there. You can sort these by color, black and white, however you want, or you can look at all. Once you pick it, just click on it and then click close, and you'll be back to the basic panel. Your tone curve is just that, it's tone curve. You've got a couple options here for general, just medium contrast, strong contrast, stuff like that. You can also grab these and you can change these however you want. I'm going to go back into linear. HSL, this is your hue, saturation, luminance. If you need to boost certain colors or pull certain colors back, you have that option here. Detail, this is going to be for your sharpening and your noise reduction. Lens correction, pretty handy. You have your remove chromatic aberration, and you also have enable profile correction. So lenses have different profiles. If you click on this, depending on your lens, it'll automatically select the lens based on the data embedded into the file. If your lens doesn't show up, just click on make. There's tons of different lens manufacturers here. Just choose the appropriate manufacturer, and then you can pick from tons of different. This is all the Nikon lenses that it knows about. Transform works sometimes. I don't particularly use this, but I just wanted to show it to you. If you have like wonky horizons or something like that, sometimes going in here and hitting auto, it'll correct the horizon. This also does put a minor crop depending on how bad it is, so it'll kind of shift the image around so it's level, but it will do some cropping as well. So that's why I don't typically use this. Effects. This is where you have your vignetting if you want to put a vignette on the photo, or grain if you want to add grain, and then calibration if you want to change the color calibration. A lot of times for photos outside that I do near water, I will boost the blue primary channel just to give that blue more of a pop. Now, we talked about the cropping in the transform. If you want to get into cropping, all you have to do is hit R as in Romeo, and that'll bring up your crop. You have some options up here if you want to do different ratios, or if you're cropping to a specific size or something like that. You can grab this. You can change it around depending on which way that you want to do your crop. So if you wanted this to be a vertical, just kind of drag the mouse up and it'll become a vertical image. Now with the crop, there's also different overlays that you can use. If you hit O, you can cycle through your overlays, your crop overlays. You have your rule of thirds, you have your golden spiral, and you have just different types of overlays depending on what you're doing. You also have this one right here, which will show you different print sizes. So if you're cropping something to be printed in different sizes, this is a pretty good tool to be able to see what's going to be cropped off depending on the size that you're printing. Now, if you want to rotate this, because you can rotate these, so we'll go back into this one so you can see it. If you hit Shift and then O, it will rotate the overlay so you can actually set it up however you want. Now, the last couple things that I want to talk about is over here. We talked about the presets. Now we have two other options here. We have history and we have snapshot. So history is obviously your history. Just like in Photoshop, you have a history of whatever you've done. So if you messed something up before, you can go through and you can go back to whatever it is. If you want to go back to the original photo, you can click on import and that'll take you back to the original photo, or you can just clear all and that will take you back to the original photo. The other thing that you can do is snapshots. So snapshots are pretty neat because you can, if you click the plus button here, this thing comes up and we can do original. And then just for an example, we'll go and we'll overexpose this by 3.25 stops. And then we're going to do another snapshot and do overexposed, create, and you can flip through these two snapshots. The last thing that I want to talk about is the synchronization mode. This is really, really handy feature. So say we have this photo and this is how we like it. What we can do is we can edit this photo and then we're going to hold Shift and we're going to select the other photos that we want. Shift will select a continuous group of photos. Command will let you select individual photos. So now we have the sync button right here, or we can hit Command Shift S as in sync, and it'll bring up the synchronized settings, and you can pick all these settings whatever you want. So you have white balance, your tone settings, your tone curve. So if you just want to set your white balance, you can hit check none and hit white balance, and it'll just synchronize the white balance. So that's pretty much all I've got for today. I'm going to be doing a part 2 where we get more into the different settings over here in the panels. If you have anything specific that you want to see, drop a comment below or send me a message. Let me know and I'll put that in the video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it that thumbs down. If you haven't done so, check out some of my other videos. Hit that subscribe button. This is Russell from Russell Tracy Photography. Have a good day.